Lars? Hey, Lars, wait! Stephen had been trying to catch Lars alone for a few hours now, but somehow, when his older friend stopped and turned around, he only felt the sickening dread burrow deeper into his gut. He looked as if he had been walking home. The evening was making everything in shades of dark orange and burnished gold. Not many people were out, just a guy mowing his lawn and a couple going out for dinner on the other side of the street. He ran up to him, panting and sweating with his eyes bugged out. "Stephen, what's wrong? Is everything okay?" Lars asked, brushing his fingers nervously through his pale pink hair. Yeah, it's just... Stephen almost reconsidered what he was about to do, thinking that maybe this was all just a dumb mistake. Lars didn't look anything like White Pearl had looked. His eyes were tracking his movements, his expression was an expected confusion at Stephen's freaked-out state. His posture was slack and uneven. But one look at the pink shade of his skin made his resolve shock back into motion. "I need you to hold up your right hand," Stephen told him. Okay, Lars said, raising it up as he said to. "Why? Am I about to pledge allegiance to you or something?" His entire body shuddered from the unintentional connection. No, I'm just testing something," Stephen said, swallowing anxiously. "You can put your arm down." He did. "All right, now, Stephen tried to think of something slightly more weird. Balance on one foot." Lars blinked at him in confusion, but did so. He said slowly, "Okay." It was hard to keep the panic from his tone as he said, "Switch to the other foot." "Stephen, what is this about?" Lars said, but he still did it. Stephen was searching his face for any clues, his gaze meeting the older teen so intensely that he was surprised that he didn't look away. He needed to say something so absurd that he'd never do it without an explanation. "You can stand normally. Now, go back to your bakery and set it on fire," Stephen instructed, the ice in his voice creeping through. Lars paused, blinking down at him. Stephen prayed that he would stay right there, give him a glare, and demand what he was talking about. But he didn't. Instead, Lars's eyes became unfocused, and he nodded robotically with a shrug, saying, "All right, if you say so, Stephen." He watched in absolute horror as Lars turned and immediately began to walk back the way that he came, as if he was simply asking him to go pick up his groceries. Everything that he had been anticipating before now suddenly trampled him into the ground like a herd of terrified animals. No. He held his face into his hands and collapsed onto the sidewalk in a crumbling pile, overcome with 1,000 howling emotions that were crashing through him, ripping up everything he'd ever known, shattering him into a million dusty pieces. "Lars! Stop!" he managed to choke out, knowing that his pink friend would carry out the order without question. "Come back!" His footsteps were hurried, coming to an abrupt halt right next to Stephen, staring down at him. "So, do you want me to burn down my bakery later or something?" he asked. Stephen dragged his gaze up at the older pink teen, his watery vision wild with pain. He couldn't believe it. "No, don't burn down your bakery. You love your bakery, remember?" Stephen sobbed in some vain attempt to reject the truth and bring him back. "Well, yeah, but... Stephen, are you all right? Why are you crying?" Lars asked, kneeling down next to him with a hand on his shoulder. He looked so genuine, so confused, but Stephen knew that it wasn't real. He knew that the real Lars had died on Homeworld 2 years ago. Because Stephen hadn't revived him. He'd turned his body into a puppet, just like White Diamond's powers. He felt a nauseating revulsion lurching through him, and he couldn't stop himself from doubling over and vomiting onto the pavement, his stomach heaving. He was now shaking and crying uncontrollably in Lars's arms as he tried to hold him up. "Whoa, Stephen, just tell me what's wrong," he was saying. Stephen reached out and clung to him desperately, hugging his former friend so tightly that his arms hurt, weeping uselessly into his side as if that could bring him back again. "You're dead, Lars!" Stephen forced out in a wail. "You died on Homeworld! This isn't you, this is just my powers. They turned you into a puppet, and I had no idea." He was racked with the grief, sobbing, "I'm so sorry, Lars! I'm so sorry, I didn't know, I'm sorry!" The worst part was that Lars didn't even react like this was new news. Because he wasn't even aware. He really thought he was Lars. No wonder he started acting so differently once he was revived. He was braver, kinder, a better leader. Stephen had just brushed it off as gained wisdom from his own death, but in reality, he had completely erased Lars and replaced him with his own idea of what he wanted him to be. And Stephen hadn't known. His former friend just hugged him close in the middle of the street in a way that moody teenager Lars would have never done before, asking if he needed anything. But no task this puppet could do would ever bring Lars back. Lars was dead. He has been for 2 years, replaced by this better version of him. And nobody had missed him.